throws, and it's intercepted. It's intercepted by number 22. That's Clifton. He's got the left edge. Turns on the Jets. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Calaveras. What a play. Up to a running back. That's Ferrante over to the right side. He comes back up the middle. He's got room. One man to beat. He turns on the Jets. There he goes. Touchdown, Calaveras. What a play. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Football with Coach Val. I'm your host, Gil Valtierra, the voice of Calaveras football. It's game night, and your Calaveras RedHawks are home to play one of the biggest games of the year. Undefeated Summerville comes to San Andreas tonight to take on the 5-1 Calaveras RedHawks. My guest today is number 7 from the Calaveras Junior RedHawks novice football team, and none other than head varsity football coach at Calaveras High, Coach Manny Mosa. Guys, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. So let's get started right away. Right away, we check into, hey, what's going on in the world of Calaveras RedHawk football. We start over with the youth team that were on the road. They traveled down to Houston to take on the Houston Junior program. The junior novice team sent me their info. Looks like Calaveras was victorious 41-0. Jax Watson had 87 yards rushing and 44 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns and 4 tackles. Man, what didn't he do? Right. I'm thinking at halftime he was selling hot dogs too. I mean, that guy does everything. Tucker Mills had 46 yards rushing, 53 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns and 3 tackles. Geez, he was helping Watson over there at halftime. Bronson Jenkins was 2 for 4 for 97 yards as quarterback. Had 2 touchdowns passing, 4 tackles and a fumble recovery. Gino Varney, 75 rushing yards, a touchdown and 2 tackles. Maxwell Green, 20 yards rushing, 2 tackles. Maximus Montez, I love that name, Maximus, like Gladiator, right? You got to love it. 2 tackles. Brennan House, 4 tackles. Trent Hughes, 4 tackles. James Pauly and Lucas Smith, Vincent Vela, and Talon Sink had a tackle each. And thanks to Coach Gregory Mills for sending that info as they were victorious 41-0. Coach, any comments on that game?
Yeah, I think that was their first 11-on-11 game in a while. It was kind of nice to get to real football, You
bet.
They've been 7-on-7 for a while, so good for them. They felt pretty good about it, talking to them after the game. And like you said, they Watson and Mills, man, those guys, they're fast, man. They're fast. Get them in some space, and they're tough to bring down.
Yeah, definitely, and that's great to see. Even with that's got to be tough to go from 7-on-7 to 11-on-11, and then not knowing what you're going to deal with week in and week out. And
I agree. I think some teams that are all 7-on-7, that's all they have to work on. They kind of have an advantage,
right?
And you get these other teams, that have to go back and forth. I don't know that I don't think that's fair.
Right.
But, the alternative, not play.
Right. So they found a way to get the kids a little experience to get out there and play.
So,
I hear you. All right. Well, let's move on to the novice game, which, Ethan, you got to play in that game, right?
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Was Houston a tough team?
No.
No? Handled them?
Yeah.
I love it. All right, yeah, so Ethan's right. Calaveras was victorious 21-0. The offensive ground and pound Calaveras football game controlled the time of possession with long touchdown drives. Nolan Mint had 5 carries for 39 yards. Ethan Mosa, 16 carries for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. Attaboy. Good job.
Thank you.
So Nash Kamenzen had 5 carries for 16 yards and a touchdown. Hayden Trilo, 6 carries for 15 yards. and Levi Lim 4 carries for 6 yards. The defense dominated the day again, having a total of 12 tackles for losses. Relentless effort for all 4 quarters. Nash Camenzind had 3 tackles for losses. Landon Carne-Asada had 2 tackles for losses. Landon Nunez, 2 tackles for losses and a fumble recovery. Nolan Mint, 2 tackles for losses. Ethan Mosa and Levi Lim each had a tackle. And Leonard Powers, Cooper Watson, and Noel Leon each had a tackle for a loss. Thanks to Coach Sam Arledge for sending that information. Coach, you were on the sideline. Comments on that game?
You know, unlike my counterpart here, you know, I felt like they were a very good football team. You know, they had some very good players and they had a good plan. You know, they really tried to they took away our sweep. You know, and so we have been talking about it for a while. You know, we've had a lot of big plays off our sweeps this year, and you know, eventually teams were going to try to shut that down. We got to be able to run inside. You know, and I think you've seen it. You know, there's you know, Ethan here had quite a few carries, 16, 17 carries. Camenzind had 5. Trillo had 5. I mean, those are all inside run plays.
Right.
You know, we seen it. That's fine, boys. We got to run inside. We got to get the hard yards, and we talked about it early last week. We have to be okay gaining 3-4 yards a carry. We have to be okay with that. We don't have to score a touchdown on every single carry, and you know, the O-line loved it. These backs loved it. We didn't drop the ball. We didn't fumble the ball. We, you know, I mean, in the first drive in the first quarter, we took up the entire first quarter.
Wow.
As a football coach, as an offensive,
that's a nice drive.
Yeah, offensive coordinator, you know this. You love those drives, but you know, I'll take that before a 80-yard big play.
Right. Well, and I think for you listeners out there, you go, well, why is that? Well, what it does is a couple things. One, it shows you're in control of the football game. That when we get the ball, we're going to keep the ball. Good job. Good luck trying to take it from us.
Yep.
We're going to control the line of scrimmage. We're going to block you. We're going to do what we want to do and still our will. Whatever you try to do, it ain't going to work because we're going to control this game, control the line of scrimmage, control the clock, and do what we want to do. And it's frustrating for a defense because what they'll start to do is they'll make adjustments. They'll stack the line. They're going to try to do everything to stop that. And when they realize they can't, and they tried everything they can to stop it, but they can't, it's demoralizing for the other team. And so that's why it's that puts a smile on the coach's face.
Yep, 100%.
All right, well, let's move on to the junior varsity team at the youth level. Coach Vince Montgomery sent over his info. Unfortunately, they came up on the losing end of that game, 26-0. Houston was able to get the victory there. It looks like Houston held Calaveras to 92 yards rushing. Number 22, Carter Lim, had 4 carries for 18 yards. Number 21, Mason Williams, had 13 carries for 56 yards. Number 10, Bryce Botello, had 9 carries for 22 yards. So a lot of carries, a lot of hard-fought yards there. Defensively, number 99, Ruben Trio, had 2 tackles, 1 forced fumble and a fumble recovery. Number 10, Bryce Botello, had 3 tackles and an interception. And number 44, Luca Varney at middle linebacker, had 7 tackles and 1 tackle for a loss. Came up on the short end of it, though, 26-0. Coach, comments on that game?
Yeah, you know, it was a good Houston football team, undefeated. I think they knew that, you know, and they're not far away. And I know we've said that here for a few weeks, but you know, the guys are not far away. One less penalty here or there, one block there, you know, here, one tackle, one more tackle. You know, I think the kids are getting better. You know, they need to continue to get better, and you know, I really don't think they're far off. I really don't. You know, you know, sometimes, you know, you have a few losses and you get down. You know, these guys got to stay up. They got to stay up. They got to continue to play. They can't give up. You know, they got to keep going, because you never know what happens in playoffs. And right now they're on the bubble, still being able to make the playoffs. And honestly, the game, I do believe it went into halftime 12-0, and it could have very easily went into halftime 6-6, 6-7, very easily,
Right,
one play.
right.
And so I think that's something they need to kind of take, and they need to build off it. They need to think of, go over the things they did right and continue to do those things, fix the things they did wrong, and they'll be right there. They'll be competitive.
Yeah. So keep fighting, guys. Keep fighting. Turn the page, move forward, focus on your next opponent. You're going to be just fine. Yep. Moving on to the varsity at the youth level. Got a text this morning from Coach Troy Paulson. Unfortunately, they took their first loss of the year. What a big game going into Houston. They were both 5-0, and Houston came out on top. Was it 35-0? I believe it was. When I talked to Coach Paulson, he pretty much was like, hey, hats off to Houston. They were a very good football team. They were well prepared for Calaveras. He was very proud of his guys, that they stayed together as a team for the most part and took the loss as a unit, is what his words were. And that he just needs to get back to the drawing board and make sure that they get prepared better for the next game. So tough loss for the varsity team. But, when you're 5 out of 6, you're just fine. I told him, hey, that's the beauty of football, is that you got to have a short memory one way or the other. Yep. And no matter what, you got to turn the page and prepare for your next opponent. You can't dwell on what happened last week because you're already facing a new opponent next week.
I agree. Look, it can go two ways. They can go in the tank, lose a few more games, be the 5th, 6th seed in playoffs or whatever, or, they can fix the things they did wrong. Because, again, same thing. They weren't far off. They had a couple of bad moments here, right? They had a fumble here, big play on Houston's part. I thought their defense played very well at times. I do think there's some players that need to step up there. There's some very, very good players on that team with talent that need to step up.
Sure.
They should. They should be able to, and they need to step up and help the team out. And that was a big physical Houston team, right? You can't bail out, no matter what happens. No matter how many times they run the ball up the middle in a gap, no matter how many times they hit you, no matter how many times maybe you miss a tackle or you're just getting blocked. Doesn't matter. You can't give up. And so I think I don't think they got a whole bunch to fix, but they need to figure out how they're going to get better, because they're going to see them again.
Right.
They'll see them in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl.
Right.
I think it's from what I can see, just what I can see with the records and everything. It's Calaveras and Houston at the top, and Houston's obviously at 35-0. They're at the top of the hill.
Right.
So what do you got? What are you going to do to knock them off the hill?
Yeah.
Well,
you heard it, guys. You may have another chance at them. Now it's just about, are you going to come back and swinging and fighting, or are you going to, fold up your tent and go home? It's up to you guys, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's move on to the high school. The junior varsity team at the high school was back home after a 3-game stretch. They played River Islands. Coach Tapia got his group going, and Calaveras was victorious 34-6. Coach, comments on that one? I know you only get about a half of that because you're getting your guys ready, but comments on that victory for the JV team.
Yeah, man, I felt like the JV team was fired up, ready to go, homecoming, as they should be. Offensively, it looked like they were really dominating the line of scrimmage, which is a good thing to see. It looked like, obviously, 6 points, defensively played very well. They didn't give up too much there. I think it was a good win. I think they needed it. They've had some tough games, and they're 2-0 in league now. That's good.
Right.
JV's going for a league title. That's the only thing they can go for. There's no playoffs.
Well, there you go. Okay, moving on. Obviously, then at the varsity level at the high school, the homecoming night, big, huge homecoming crowd. It was great to see that big, huge crowd. I was doing the game, calling the game for KVGC radio, and just seeing how loud it was and all the people. It really put a big smile on my face to see all that. And they got treated big time. Calaveras was victorious over River Islands 70-0. Pretty much were scoring at will. They scored at all 3 phases of the game, offensively, defensively, and special teams. Comments on the game, Coach?
I think 70-0 says it. The guys, they were so fired up. and ready to go. And it was homecoming. We were showing some appreciation and respect, for Clifton, and we before, in the locker room before we headed down, there wasn't anything I could say. They were already there.
Right.
There was no pregame speech. It's like, hey man, play for each other, play for the school, play for the name on your back. You know what I mean? And it was great. It was great to see they were ready. And then, like you said, I don't hear the crowd really at all, and especially with my headset on.
Right.
And when Ferrante took the opening kickoff back, that was the first time I said, "Wow!" Like that place erupted.
Yeah,
erupted. There was a boatload of people there, on our side, and it was loud.
Yeah,
and that, that got me fired up. And me, I don't get too fired up on the sideline, but
right.
I was pretty stoked after that. And I think I feel like River Island's battled.
Right.
First year varsity program, not a senior on the team,
right.
All juniors and sophomores. And one thing I will say, I'll give them credit, they didn't bail out.
They didn't.
No, they stayed in the game. They had a couple injuries. Guys got back in. They stayed in. They played tough, and I think coach over there should be pretty proud of his kids. I've been on the other side of these games as well.
Yeah.
And it's tough when you lose like that, but they're on the right track.
Yeah,
really
I think you're right. I agree with that. I mean, Coach Hardenbrook, the head varsity football coach there, when I talked to them, very nice guy. Where he understands, where his team's at and where they're trying to go, and the situation they're in, brand new school. So he understands the dynamic. The couple of players I talked to, number 12, the little receiver that number 3 quarterback. I talked to both those guys, and both those guys all night were in it. They were trying to hit each other with timing routes.
Yeah.
They were throwing stuff out in the flat. So both of those guys, even though they knew, like, hey, we're probably not going to win this game, but let's win this play.
Yeah.
Let's win this series. They kept battling, and so hats off and respect for the fact that they just kept battling.
Yeah, and with everything that was going on, man, they got us on probably one of our best nights. Honestly, I mean, it's just everybody was so fired up. The kids were so ready to go.
Just so much going on with them and the dynamic.
A lot of emotion.
Yeah, just a lot.
A lot of emotion, which shows with our penalties, actually.
Right.
We had some penalties. So.
Well, we're coming to that.
Yeah.
Let's go over some of those stats. Curran, the quarterback, he was 4 for 5 for 76 yards and a touchdown. Monzo had 1 reception for 20 yards. Ortega had 1 reception for 11 yards. Smith had 2 carries for 41 yards rushing. Ferrante, 4 for 68 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, had a kickoff return for a touchdown, which opened the game up, as you just said, Coach. And then also had a pick 6, an interception for a touchdown, totaling 5 touchdowns on the night in all 3 phases of the game, offense, defense, special teams. I've been doing this a long time. I know you have too. To see a kid score in all 3 phases, it's like the hat trick for hockey, right? It's rare. You don't see it that often. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty special.
Agreed.
Spur had 1 reception for 18 yards. He also had 2 carries for 25 yards rushing. Enrique Taco Hernandez, 4 carries, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The big boy, man, he's what, 6'1", 215.
Yeah.
He reminds me a little bit, because most backs get through there and they run really low and they're like we teach them, right? Run low. He runs more like Eric Dickerson.
Yep.
He's got that big, tall, he's a big, tall kid, and he runs, but when he has to, he lowers his shoulder. When he has to turn on the speed, his speed is, deceptive. You don't think he's that fast, and all of a sudden you go, whoa, there he goes.
Yeah, he's a lot quicker than he looks, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's something else. Ellis had 1 carry for 15 yards. Ayala had a 1 catch for a 27-yard touchdown. Also had 2 carries for 26 yards. Ray had 5 carries for 28 yards and a rushing touchdown. Calaveras' total yards for rushing was 326 yards rushing on 21 attempts. Interceptions, Ayala had one, Ferrante had one, Raymer had one. They all had an interception. And then Paulson and Patrick both had sacks. The one stat that all those sound fantastic. You go, hey, that's great. The one stat that you go that's got a little asterisk by it and it's sticking out like a sore thumb is 12 penalties for 100 yards.
Yeah.
Tell me what your feeling is on that.
Yeah, we got to clean them up. We got to clean them up. We have 12 penalties for 100 yards against Summerville. We're going to lose that game.
Right.
I mean, there's just no question about it. And some of them are, borderline penalties. Some of them are legitimate. What are you doing?
Right.
So we got to clean those things up, and that's kind of been the focus this week. Clean those things up. Let's play a clean game.
You bet.
Regardless of the score, a clean game.
All right, Coach. Well, I mean, right about this time is where we go through a couple of player interviews, and we are going to do that after we hear a word from our sponsor. MRM Stone has over 1,000 natural stone selections, fabrication services, and delivery available. With over 60 years of natural stone sales experience, we stock and sell natural stone thin veneer, flagstone, boulders, pavers, retaining wall block, structural block, cobble, pea gravel, mulch, and the tools necessary to complete your project. Our inside and outside sales staff is eager to help with your landscape or masonry project. Stop on by 2173 Highway 12 in Valley Springs, or go to mrmstone.com or give us a call 209-763-5761. That's 209-763-5761. MRM Stone, your masonry and landscape stone supplier. All right, Coach. So as promised, I talked to a few of your players. The first one, 5 touchdowns on one night. Got to see how he's feeling. Number 19, Cody Ferrante. Let's see what he had to say. All right, I'm with number 19, running back Cody Ferrante. Cody, on Friday against River Islands on homecoming night, you scored 5 touchdowns, 3 on the ground, 1 on an interception return, and 1 to open up the game on the kickoff return. Tell me, how did it feel to get all that done?
It felt great. It was exciting, especially because it was our homecoming and Clifton's Memorial. I felt like he was watching over us, so it felt really great to do what he knew that we can do, what he's always told us we can do.
Sure. So now, have you ever scored in all 3 phases like that in one game?
I don't think so. Maybe since youth.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So it's pretty hard to do. It's like the hat trick there, scoring in all 3 phases. So
yeah.
Congratulations with that big win. Takes you guys to 5-1. Now this week, back home again, but now against a much more formidable opponent in Summerville, who's undefeated. Tell me about what the focus is going to be this week.
The focus here is simple. It's go out there and do our jobs because we are a good enough team to beat that other good team.
Mm-hmm.
I think the season leading up to now has proved that we are up there with the best. So I think we're going to go out there, compete, and win.
Last couple of years, you guys haven't had much success against them. Does that play any role in your thinking about this week?
I think that motivates the team more than anything. I think they really want to beat the team, especially for the seniors.
Sure.
I think we all want to see them beat before we leave.
All right. We heard it, folks. Number 19, Cody Ferrante. Good luck on Friday.
All right.
All right, Coach. Number 19, Cody Ferrante, one of your many weapons. Comments on his comments.
Yeah, I'm glad. It should be motivation. We've been embarrassed 2 years in a row by Summerville. A very good football team, and they've had our number the last couple of years. And we should be embarrassed. We should use it as motivation. And I think the guys are, and I do believe. I think our guys are good enough, and they're also confident enough to be able to come in here and compete and have a chance to win this game.
You bet. All right. Well, the next young man I had opportunity to speak with, you guys hear me on KVGC bring him up as Enrique Taco Hernandez. Every time he touches the ball, it seems like he does something fantastic with it. Let's see what he had to say. All right, I'm with number 7, running back and defensive lineman Enrique Taco Hernandez. who on Friday night against River Islands had 4 carries for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. Congratulations on the win. How'd it feel to get in the end zone a couple times to help your team?
It felt really great, especially having some of those touchdowns called back this week and last week, but it feels amazing.
Good. Congratulations. Tell me a little bit about what you saw like when you got the ball. I know on one of them there was a pretty big hole. The O-line did a good job, and you kind of just accelerated through there and took off. Where'd that speed come from?
Track speed. Thank Coach Aver for that one. Yeah, but I just saw a big hole. I hit it, made a move, and then I was off to the races.
Nice. So you guys are 5-1, and then now back home again this Friday, but against an opponent like Summerville, who the last couple of years have had their way with Calaveras. What's your guys' focus this week now?
Focus this week is stopping their run for sure. We're very overall big defensive group. So stopping their run game should be a priority, but making them uncomfortable and seeing how they react to, just us playing football.
You bet. All right, well, I wish you the best of luck on Friday. We'll be out there watching.
Yep, thank you.
You got it. All right, Coach, so number 7, Enrique Taco Hernandez, does great things when he touches the ball. Yep. It's got to be nice to have a guy like him as a backup running back to come in and do the things that he does. Comments on what he's had to say.
Yeah, no, I think you said it. We want to stop the run. We want to make them uncomfortable, and that's perfect. He's been listening. He's been paying attention. He runs the ball well. He has had some plays called back, but he doesn't care. Really,
right.
He gets the ball, he gives it 100% every single time, and he's a big body. So, our focus with him and really all of our running backs, but especially our big boys, we're falling forward. We're never going backwards.
Right.
If we got to gain 3-4 yards a pop, and takes 4 plays to get a first down, we'll do it.
Right.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing I will say about all of our running backs, including the Z backs. They're not afraid to do the dirty work. They're okay with blocking. Right? They want to block. They want to put you down to the ground. They want to drive you downhill. And that's it's unselfish, and it's exactly what you want as a football coach.
You bet.
Those type of players, because only one person can carry the ball at the time.
Right.
So
and there's a lot of weapons on this roster where it's like not everybody's going to get 15 carries a game.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I remember coaching a team back in 2010 that was unselfish and really didn't care who got the ball, who did what.
Yep.
And every guy was willing to do the dirty work. Every guy was willing to, I'll take the garbage out right now. You go ahead and sit down and take a bite of that steak while I go take the garbage out.
Yep.
And when you have a group of individuals that are willing to be so unselfish like that, what a team that creates.
Yeah.
All right. So next young man I had an opportunity to talk with, number 2, Ethan Ayala. Let's see what he had to say. All right, I'm with number 2, Ethan Ayala, who on Friday night against River Islands scored 2 touchdowns. One receiving the ball from Kern, and the other one defensively on an interception, pick 6 and ran it back. Ethan, congratulations on the win on Friday. And why don't you tell me first a little bit about the reception? Kern threw the ball. What kind of route was it? What did you see? Tell me about that play.
It was a Z-kick fake pass, so basically it's kind of like I'm faking to kick out the DN, so he comes up, but then I'm really just running like a little out route.
Mm-hmm.
And Cohen kind of spit there, and I just kind of tried to find the end zone as easy as I could.
So you caught it and then just took off?
Yeah.
Nice. So defensively, when you intercepted and ran it back, tell me about that play.
That was kind of like a broken play. It's kind of like recess, almost like they said in the interview with Guy. It's kind of like a recess play, kind of just ran the ball, hopefully found somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, but
felt good though.
Yeah, quite nice too. Yeah.
The big difference between recess and then when you're doing it on homecoming night in front of all your home crowd.
Yeah, it's a little louder. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now you got Summerville coming in this Friday, who's undefeated. They're probably going to be much tougher than River Islands. What's the focus going to be this week for you guys?
I think our main focus is just learning all the formations, kind of getting it down, perfecting everything on offense and defense. I think we're ready. I mean, I expect a lot of us as a team, so we got a lot better over the last couple of months. But, yeah, I think we got it.
Yeah, the last couple of years they've kind of had their way with Calaveras. Does that make the mindset a little bit different coming into this week?
I mean, yeah, kind of makes us take it more serious. You know, it kind of makes it seem like more of a harder game for us, obviously. But I think we have it in this year.
All right.
Confident for our team.
All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck. We'll see you out there on Friday.
All right, thank you.
All right. All right, Coach. Number 2, Ethan Ayala, another backup running back that's made an impact when he gets his opportunities.
Yeah, he's coming along at the right time. He had a slow start to the season, and he's been getting more reps each week, and he's a player, man. He can catch, he can run, he can do it all. So, really looking forward to seeing what he's going to bring to the table this weekend or this Friday, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, he caught a ball on a reception. I've seen him run sweep. I've seen him catch a ball now for a touchdown and then turn around and get a pick six on the defensive side. Yeah. So he's looking for, being opportunistic wherever he can. He's a ball hawk.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to run inside either. And that's kind of a rare breed. When you get the running back that can run a good sweep and can run inside, yeah, you try to give him the ball.
Right. All right, Coach. So this is the next segment we call From Around the League. Obviously, we already talked about Calaveras had their way with River Island 70-0. Tonight, Summerville comes into town at Frank Meyer Field to play Calaveras. Summerville's 5-0. Calaveras is 5-1. By far the biggest game of the year thus far as Motherlode League play goes. Big Valley Christian lost to Linden 42-6. Tonight, Big Valley is going to be in Angels Camp at Bret Hart, and Linden is headed down to Lathrop to play River Islands. Riverbank last week lost to Summerville 49-0. And then tonight, it looks like Gustine is going to be playing at Riverbank, a game they probably picked up in lieu of that Millennium game, as you know about that, Coach. Any comments around any of those games?
Yeah, obviously, our game, man, it's I think the first, 2-0 versus 2-0 in our league, the new MLL league, and we know Summerville. We know they're a good football team. We know they're going to come in and they love to run the ball, but they can throw it as well.
Right.
We definitely we see that, and we understand that, and it's going to be a 5-round UFC fight. That's what it's going to be.
Right.
Last man standing. That's what we've been preaching with the guys this week, and I think we're ready. We're ready for a 5-round fight, a 5-round UFC fight.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't talk about boxing.
It's all UFC now. When I bring up boxing, people go, "What is that?"
So that's the way it's going to be, and it's going to be a great game to watch. I mean, obviously, when you're a part of it, it's stressful, and every play matters, every inch matters,
right.
every yard, like everything matters. Watching it, it's going to be a slugfest.
Yeah. So when we did an episode on the podcast before the season started, it was Guy Dossie, the sports editor at Calaveras Enterprise, Greg Stark, the color commentator that helps me with the KVGC play call of all the games, and we did our little prognostication. Here's where we think everything is going to fall out, because that's what guys in the media do.
Yep.
And we all picked, there was going to be Calaveras, Summerville, Linden as the top 3. Now, from those top 3, there's lots of argument about who's 1, 2, and 3, and 3, 2, and 1, and everybody had like their own little versions of 1, 2, and 3, but no argument about who 1, 2, and 3 were. And then after that, everybody felt like it's Big Valley, and then it was the best of the rest. So far, that's kind of what we're seeing. And thus far in Motherlode League play, only 2 games being played, but by far now to see Summerville have to play Calaveras, this is the first real big game of like, let's see where this is all going to fall out. Linden doesn't play Calaveras and Summerville until the very last 2 games of the season.
Right. So
we could very well end up not knowing who the Motherlode League champion is going to be until the very last game of the season.
Yeah. No, agreed. The way we look at, we try to take one game at a time.
Right.
And we know Summerville. We know them very well. We know what they've done to us the last couple of years. And, we're trying to turn the table on that.
You bet.
That's definitely been the plan this week. And, the guys they're I think, they're ready for that fight. They're ready for that grind. They're ready for the dirty work. I feel like they are.
Right.
Only time will tell. We'll tell tonight.
You bet.
But as a coach, I feel like they're ready to get with it.
By far, one of the biggest games in a long time being played at Frank Meyer Field in San Andreas is going to be tonight. Summerville at Calaveras. You got plans? Cancel them.
Yeah.
Get your butt down to Calaveras High School. You're going to want to see this game. Let's go over the Motherlode League standings thus far. Summerville still at the top of the mountain because they're 5-0, 2-0 in league. Calaveras right behind them at 5-1, also 2-0 in league. Linden right behind them, as we said, the top three. Linden's 4-1, 1-0 in league. Big Valley Christian 3-2, 1-1 in league. Riverbank 3-2, 0-2 in league. River Islands 1-4, 0-2 in league. And then Bret Hart 0-4, 0-1 in league. And we still, we'll see how all that plays out. And a lot of unanswered questions are going to get answered in the next few weeks here, folks, in Motherlode play. I want to make sure I send a big thanks to Guy Dossie, the sports editor of the Calaveras Enterprise and CalaverasEnterprise.com for all the statistics that he provides to us. In other games around the area, former Motherlode League opponents, Argonaut fell to Union Mine 35-0. Tonight they will face Liberty Ranch, and they'll be coming to Argonauts. So Liberty Ranch, who's 3-2, Argonauts 1-4. So that's another Sierra Valley Conference, another league game for them. Liberty Ranch at Argonaut. Amador fell just short to Liberty Ranch, 38-22. Tonight Amador will be at Bradshaw Christian. Amador's 3-2. Bradshaw Christian's 5-0. Bradshaw has made it known that they are the team to beat in that league. And so a tough game, Amador on the road to go play Bradshaw Christian. So I think that's going to be a big game.
Yeah, it's a big game for Amador.
You bet. Sonora was victorious over Orostimba 44-20. And tonight Sonora is going to be at home versus Helmar. Probably will be a tough, good TVL football game there. Any comments on any of those games, Coach?
Yeah, the ladder there. Helmar, they've been killing it.
Yeah,
and Escalon came in and put a whooping on them last week.
Yeah,
and Sonora beat Escalon. So anybody can win in the TVL.
Yeah, it's such a blue collar. Bring your hard hat and lunch pail, and we're going to hit you and fight. And such a tough division and tough league. And you see a team like Hilmar or Escalon lose to Sonora and then turn around and be like, okay, we didn't like that very much, and play real tough against the Hilmar the very next week. So you're absolutely right. All right, so before we move on, let's hear another word from our sponsors. Treats General Store in San Andreas, California is a proud sponsor of Calaveras football and the Let's Talk Football with Coach Val podcast. Treats General Store has everything you need from groceries, meat, liquors, and hardware. Treats General Store since 1852. Ready to transform your backyard into an outdoor paradise? Look no further than the Paver Company, specializing in hardscaping, landscaping, outdoor living spaces, turf, decking, and more. They are your one-stop shop for all your yard upgrade needs. As a family-owned and operated business with over 25 years' experience, the Paver Company takes pride in their top-notch craftsmanship. Get started today with a free estimate and custom design. Make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. Visit us at thepavercompany.com or call us at 916-222-8844 to schedule your consultation. That's 916-222-8844. Let's turn your backyard dreams into reality with the Paver Company. All right, welcome back, everyone. Our next segment we call This Week in Practice and Keys to the Game. So, this week at practice, Coach, how'd it go? What does Summerville look like? What do they run offense? What do they run defense? key players when they come out Friday night? What should people expect to see?
Yeah, they're an all-around good team. There's not a weak spot on their team. There's not a weak spot on their O-line or D-line. There's not a weak spot at the running backs. Quarterback loves to run the ball. That's coach's son over there, and he's tough. And I like it. I mean, I really do. I like it. I you look at a lot of those players across the way, and you're like, you know what? That's real similar to us. We got some of those players too. And to me, it's good. It's good for the guys. Good for the Motherlode League. It's gonna be a tough game. We have to do our job. We got our players in the right spot, and or hope to have our players in the right spot, and we got to go make some plays.
Right.
That's really what it's about.
No, I've seen a little bit of the film, and a lot of times you go against teams and go, hey, River Islands, they like to throw the ball, they like to spread everybody out. Here's what they like to do. Other teams, Sonora, other teams are like, hey, triple option, they're going to come run right down your throat. Here it comes. Sonora seems well balanced. They'll run it, they'll throw it. They kind of will do a little bit of everything. How's that differ from preparing your team when you can't just focus on one thing or one player because you have to just be ready for all of it?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and that's why they're so good. They're able to throw when it looks like run. They're able to run it when it looks like they're going to throw it. And that's the toughest part. Coaching the kids up to see the difference. See it quick, and play fast.
Right,
we got to play fast.
Now defensively. Odd front, 3-man front. Yeah. That's always for me personally. It's always been when I see because it's just like a little bit more difficult to get guys to where they're supposed to be as far as on blocks and on certain things because guys are moving around, and anytime you have to teach blocking at depth. It becomes just it's like a rung or two up the ladder. It's not like, hey, just down block that nose guard and you're fine.
That's true. I mean, playing in space is tough. We've talked about it, through the weeks. Whether it's running the ball, covering people, or blocking. Blocking for run. Blocking in space is not easy.
Right.
And they 3-5-3. They bring it from space, and we're just gonna have to get guys on guys,
right?
We'll see how that goes.
Well, if there's anybody that has experience around this kind of stuff, Coach Anderson has been coaching O-line for 30 years, and I know he's not too worried about. I don't think unless you came out and some 2-man front, like something that's just never been seen. I don't think there's anything that's going to surprise Coach Anderson.
No, agreed. He'd been around a few years, and we got different ways we can approach. We've approached a week, and kind of depending on what they do. So I feel pretty good about what we're going to do today.
So lots of weapons offensively. So many guys that I know you're confident in and being able to hand them the ball and carry the ball and not worry about it. You got a quarterback that's not afraid to go back there and get it down the field. Special teams right now are clicking. Coach Clark has got that defense just flying and swarming to the football. I mean, just all three phases right now seem to be clicking. So, anything different this week that you told these guys as far as, hey, we have to keep this going, even though it's like, this is by far one of the biggest games they're going to play so far this year?
Well, I think you brought something up, defensively, Coach Clark's had the defense in the right spot to stop the run this year. And we've done a very good job of stopping the run. And so, Summerville wants to run the football. They're very good at running the football. So I think that's going to be the matchup right there is our defense stopping the Summerville run offense,
Right.
That's where everything's going to hinder around that.
Right.
How much they throw the ball, how much we have to throw the ball. It's all going to hinder around that.
Right. Any word this week about the physicality? They're going to come with maybe a different physicality than maybe Riverbank or River Islands did in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely, and that's why they're as good as they are. They do very good getting off the football, offense and defensive lines, and they get on people. And yeah, we can't match it. We got to beat it.
Right.
We have to be more physical than them. That's been the approach this week in practice. We've had pretty rough practice this week. I mean, we got after it this week.
I like it.
So we'll see.
All right.
We'll see how that all pans out tonight.
All right. Hey, folks, you do not want to miss this game. It's going to be one heck of a Friday Night Light football game. Any last comments, Coach, on this week in practice or keys of the game for our Calaveras faithful that are out there listening before I go into how to listen on KVGC radio?
No, I think we talked about it, honestly. I think it's two good football teams. Both teams want to run the football. They can pass when they need to. Good defenses. It's going to be a barn burner. I think it's going to be just a slugfest in the trenches. If you're a true football fan, and you love the run game, you love defense, it's going to be the game.
Yeah.
It's going to be the game.
Yeah, it's going to be one heck of a high school football game. You're going to want to be there. Be sure to be there. 7 p.m. kickoff at Frank Meyer Field in San Andreas, Calaveras High School, as the Summerville Bears are coming into town, undefeated Summerville, to take on the 5-1 Calaveras RedHawks. If you can't make it, or even if you do make it, you want to still listen in to all the play-by-play action, be sure to tune in to KVGC Radio, 1340 and 96.5. You can go to kvgcradio.com. Easiest way is to download the KVGC Radio app and click on the oldies button, hit that play button, and boom, you are in for all the play-by-play action. Yours truly, along with my partner Greg Stark, will bring you all the action of what happens on Friday night against Summerville. Coach, we're at that part of the show now where, I told you before, I'm kind of a high-strung guy. I got to get a few things off my chest. But today, I actually want to send a message out to the players, if you don't mind, and indulge me for a minute. This goes out to anybody tonight that is going to strap on that helmet, put on that chin strap, put it on extra tight. This one goes out to you. I want to talk to you boys about rising to the occasion. Stepping up to the plate. Coming out swinging. There are certain people in the world that are special. They get better when things get tough. They thrive in an environment when the pressure is on. They excel when in the spotlight. They relish at the opportunity to perform in a big game. Some folks, when knocked down, crawl into a corner like an untrained puppy and start to shiver and piss themselves. Not you. You're special. You get up fighting like a rabid dog and will be ready to fight till the end. When you get punched in the mouth, the person that threw the punch becomes instantly afraid because they realize that all they did was awaken a sleeping giant. When things get bad for common people, they look for help from others. Who do we call? When things get bad for you, you are that guy they call. You are the solution. You are the answer. You're the man that's going to get it done. Who do you call? You call in the beast inside of you and start to make it happen. Where you at, Paulson? Where you at, Spur? Where you at, Ferrante? Where you at, Bonzo? Calaveras RedHawk football. Friday night. Biggest game of the year. Frank Meyer Field, San Andreas. Be there. Calaveras football. Let's go. feel much better.
Ethan, you going to be there?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, folks. Well, Coach, thanks for indulging me. Had to get that off my chest. Sometimes, when I played, I felt like I was one of those guys. I wanted the spotlight. I want to play on prime time. I want to play, I want to play on Monday night. I want to play on the Sunday night game. I want to play when everybody's watching only just our game, right? I guarantee you, folks, in the Motherlode League, everyone's going to be watching the Summerville Calaveras game. So let's get it done, boys. I want to make sure to thank all of you out there for listening. Thanks to Coach Manny Mosa and Ethan Mosa for taking the time to come out and do this. Coach, good night. Tonight, good luck.
Yeah, appreciate it.
If you're enjoying this podcast, please follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Let's Talk Football with Coach Val. Be sure to share the page with all your followers and friends. You can now text the show a message under the Send Us a Text Message link in the podcast page you're using. Of course, you can always shoot us an email at gilbertvaltier@gmail.com. Be sure to tune into the game live every Friday night at 7 p.m. by downloading the KVGC radio app and clicking on the Oldies button. You can also listen to a brand new episode of Let's Talk Football with Coach Val every Friday morning to get the latest news, scores, and happenings of the Motherlode League and surrounding area football every week during football season. Until next time, we are out. And it's intercepted. It's intercepted by number 22. That's Clifton. He's got the left edge. Turns on the Jets. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Calaveras. What a play. Up to a running back. That's Ferrante over to the right side. He cuts back up the middle. He's got room. One man to beat. He turns on the Jets. There he goes. Touchdown, Calaveras. What a play.